This episode is brought to you by Principles. Ray Dalio, legendary investor and New York Times best-selling author, wants to pass along his understanding of how countries go broke, because he believes the U.S. budget and debt situation needs to be addressed. To give you that knowledge, he has put the draft of his book, How Countries Go Broke, The Big Cycle, online for free. It's available now at economicprinciples.org.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Obviously, I know the big news is the assassination attempt on President Trump's life, the second one in as many months. I'm going to get into this with Dominic Carter in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about something that really doesn't sit right with me. Reparations. The City Council here in New York just passed legislation to create a commission to study the effects of slavery and develop a plan for reparations. Now, look, I get it. Slavery was a dark chapter in American history, and no one's denying that. But folks, it's been nearly 200 years since slavery ended in New York, yet now they're talking about making people who never owned slaves pay people who were never slaves. How does that make any sense? I'm with Joe Borelli on this one, who's sort of been leading the opposition on this, the minority leader of the City Council. He said it best, I bear no responsibility for slavery. And he's right. Unless someone can explain to me why taxpayers today should be held responsible for something that ended generations ago, I am totally opposed to this. We don't punish people for the actions of their ancestors, and we certainly don't reward people just because their ancestors were victims. This idea of collective guilt is totally absurd. The notion that we can somehow fix modern inequalities with checks written by people who had nothing to do with slavery is not only unfair, it's dangerous. It creates resentment, pits one group against another, and does nothing to address the root causes of the problems that we're facing today. This isn't just about history. It's about common sense. I understand people want justice, but what does justice look like in 2024? It means leveling the playing field today, not reaching back into the past to blame people for something they had no hand in. You want to help communities that have been left behind? Focus on fixing our education system. Focus on fixing the prison system. Focus on fixing our housing policies. Invest in job training. Don't create new divisions by sending out guilt checks. Far from helping racial tensions in this city, I think if they go forward with this, which it looks like they're going to do, they've got this reparations committee in the process of studying it. If they go forward with this, this is only going to inflame racial tensions, because you'll have the people paying the reparations developing a whole new level of resentment towards the people getting them. This isn't how we build a stronger, fairer society. This is how we tear it apart.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Ladies, you'll end up shopping for your guy's deodorant, right? So try Degree's Original Cool Rush. You see, last year, Degree changed the formula, and men were mad. One guy even started a petition. So Degree admitted they messed up and brought the Original Cool Rush scent back. It's clean, crisp, and actually smells like someone you want to cuddle. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So toss one in your cart and find out why it's the best-selling men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. By now, you have probably heard the news that Lisa Zornberg, the chief counsel to Mayor Eric Adams, has suddenly stepped down. This happened on Saturday night. She abruptly resigned on Saturday night. It's never a good thing. And I'm not trying to be flippant here, but sometimes people don't realize this. It's not a good thing when you're under 4 separate federal criminal investigations and your lawyer decides to resign. It's not at all a good thing when they don't just wait until Monday morning and put out a standard press release. For this to be done late Saturday night, this is a sign that I think it may be getting late early for Mayor Adams. And I say that not with any sort of rooting interest. I hope he finishes his term. And I think it would be a disaster for the city if he were to resign. That being said, this is very difficult to look at as anything but a very bad sign for the mayor and his team, particularly in light of the resignation of the police commissioner, the fact that some of his closest aides have had their homes raided, and the fact that his former buildings commissioner is already under indictment. This has a lot of people wondering what happens if the mayor resigns. If the mayor resigns, there would be a nonpartisan special election for mayor within 60 days. I think all elections should be nonpartisan, but don't let me get off on a tangent on that one. Just to be clear, there'd be no Democratic primary, no Republican primary. All of the candidates would run on one ballot, and it would be with ranked choice voting. This would be the first nonpartisan special election for mayor in the city's history. The first general election with ranked choice voting for mayor in the city's history. In light of all this, my friend Joe Borelli, who's the minority leader of the city council, has said, and he said this publicly, and the New York Post did a big article about it over the weekend, that he is going to run for mayor if there's a nonpartisan special election. Let me tell you something. We should be so lucky to have Joe Borelli as mayor. This guy is an incredible fighter for the outer boroughs, incredible fighter for his district. And look, am I biased because he's my friend? Absolutely. He's one of my closest friends. But he also has a level of intellect that is quite uncommon in city government. This would be Rudy Giuliani too, if this were to come to fruition. Now, some people were saying, when I was saying positive things about Joe Borelli, how do you say that when you got your friend Curtis running? With ranked choice voting, believe it or not, Joe and Curtis running actually help each other, because presumably everyone that ranks Curtis first would rank Joe Borelli second, and everyone that ranks Joe Borelli first would rank Curtis second. So the more Republicans that are in this race ranking anybody but the machine Democrats, the better it is for that person's chances of winning. This is exactly why we have ranked choice voting. So I hope he does run. We'll see what happens.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Running a business comes with a lot of what ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
I am a fan of professional football, but unlike most people, I don't really have a team that I ride or die with. I follow the New York area football teams. And if you're a football fan like me, you probably spent yesterday doing something incredibly frustrating, flipping between the Jets and the Giant games at the same time. Both teams were playing at 1 p.m., which meant unless you've got some fancy high-tech setup with multiple screens or picture-in-picture or something, you were stuck jumping back and forth between channels trying not to miss a crucial play. Honestly, is this the best we can do? What was wrong with how they used to do it when I was growing up? You had one team play at 1 p.m. and another team play at 4 p.m. Jets would play at 1, Giants at 4, or vice versa. It was simple. You didn't need to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. It worked perfectly. Fans in the New York and New Jersey area got to enjoy both games without having to pick sides or miss key moments. Now, we're forced to juggle remotes and hope we don't miss a game-changing touchdown. It's like trying to pick which of your kids' soccer games to attend. Who thought this was a good idea? And let me tell you, at my dad's family function yesterday, I was there. After the Jets and Giants were done, we found ourselves stuck watching the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, nothing against Pat Mahomes, and it was a decent game, but who in that room cared about the Chiefs and the Bengals? No one. And yet there we were watching a game that didn't matter to us simply because the games we actually cared about were over at the same time. It's madness. Absolute madness. Wouldn't it just be easier to have one game at 1 p.m. and the other at 4 p.m.? Spread it out. Let fans enjoy both of their hometown teams. And it's not just a New York problem. You could do the same thing in other cities or other areas with multiple teams, like Los Angeles. You could have the Chargers at 1 p.m. and the Rams at 4 p.m. or whatever time, different times. Let the fans breathe. Let us savor the games without having to make a decision like we're on a game show trying to figure out which door holds the prize. It's time for the NFL to use some common sense. Football's supposed to be fun, not a test of your remote control skills. So let's go back to what worked. Back to the good old days, Jets at 1, Giants at 4. Everyone's happy, and nobody's stuck watching the Chiefs when they don't want to. At least that's my take on it. Look, I'm sure maybe there's a reason they changed it to what it is now, where you frequently have the two teams playing at the same time, but I can't imagine it's a very good one. If scheduling makes it impossible to do this and you have to have 1 or 2 weeks where they play at the same time, fine. But this should not be an every week thing, bottom line.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, streaming now only on Netflix.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
You know, sometimes a story comes along that just makes your blood boil, and this one is outrageous. Let me tell you about Anne Protopappas, a French teacher at the prestigious Spence School on the Upper East Side, who was fired after 25 years of teaching. What was her crime? Well, apparently she dared to answer a student's question. That's right, she was doing her job, teaching. Here's the backstory. A student who just happens to be the daughter of the head of the school asked Protopappas about France's hijab law during a class discussion. Protopappas, being the seasoned educator that she is, gave a straightforward answer, explaining the law from a French perspective. The response? The student got so upset, she cried in class. Now listen, I get it. People have strong emotions about issues like this, but we're talking about an advanced French class where discussing French culture and laws is literally the curriculum. Next thing you know, Protopappas is being accused of Islamophobia and was fired without any due process. No meetings, no evidence from other students, just the word of one outraged student who also happens to be the daughter of the head of the school, in case I didn't mention that. Now, am I the only one who thinks this is absolutely absurd? A teacher loses her livelihood after 25 years simply for answering a question? This raises a much bigger issue. How common is this? We generally only hear about these situations when lawsuits are filed, but how often are teachers being silenced, fired, or punished for simply doing their jobs? I suspect this is not just an isolated incident. There's a real chilling effect happening in classrooms where teachers are walking on eggshells, terrified that one student's emotional reaction could cost them their career. It's Orwellian. As Protopappas put it, she was labeled harmful to students after one class outburst despite years of praise from parents and students alike. And what's worse, the school didn't even give her a fair chance to defend herself. The new head of the school simply constructed a narrative to fit the situation. This woman deserves her job back, and the Spence School needs to seriously reevaluate how it handles situations like this. She also deserves an apology, by the way. Teachers should be allowed to teach. They shouldn't be terrorized by the possibility of losing their careers because one student didn't like what they heard, because one student was offended or got their feelings hurt. This isn't just about one teacher. This is a disturbing trend of silencing educators, and it has to stop.
Beam me up.
To be continued.